Interviewed earlier this month by a Polish media outlet, Sarah Ferguson reaffirmed her commitment to the man she fell in love with. During the trip, Prince Andrew TM's ex-wife visited a hospital and attended to sick children and adults in support of a local project. The 61-year-old sat down on the floor to spend a touching moment eye-to-eye with the patients. When asked about the heaviness of being a member of the royal family, Ferguson says she has always been guided first and foremost by love. To this day, she says she still follows the instinct that made her fall for a sailor and pilot and getting married at 25 back in 1986. When you make that commitment, you decide to marry a prince, and I fell in love with him, she told the Polsat News. He was a sailor, he is still. He was a helicopter pilot, and was also a prince. I kept my commitment, no matter what. People said, "You got divorced." They don't know how I feel. Divorce is one thing, but my heart is my oath, my obligation. Over the pandemic, Ms. Ferguson has lived together with Prince Andrew at his main residence, the Royal Lodge in Windsor. Although she divorced Prince Andrew in 1996, she claims her heart has always been with him and their wedding vows, going as far as to say her wedding day was one of the best days of my life. An inside source told Vanity Fair, the couple still love each other a great deal and did not rule out the couple getting remarried. The source said, Sarah and Andrew have been closer than ever in the past year. They still love and care for each other a great deal, and have been living together during the pandemic. It has rekindled something, and I can see a second wedding happening if it all goes Andrew's way. Royal reporter Robert Jobson has discussed the mark Princess Diana left on the royal family, 24 years on from the princess's tragic death. Mr. Jobson recalled how Diana broke barriers for the royal family and helped the monarchy win the love of the people through her approachability with the public. He told GB News presenter Simon McCoy that despite Diana's short time on the world stage, she left a lasting legacy for the British monarchy. Mr. Jobson told GB News, "She really did a lot of great things, from breaking down the taboo associated with HIV/AIDS. Tried her best to rid us of landmines, sadly that of course is not that easy to achieve. But she went and tried to achieve that. More than that, I think she broke down barriers for the royal family. She was someone who was very approachable. She had her moments, but she was very approachable with the public. And the public really did love her for that, and the fact she was different to other members of the royal family. I think the royal family through her sons have developed since her very short time on the world stage." Diana died in Paris on August 31, 1997 following a crash accident in Paris. Speaking ahead of the anniversary of her death, members of the press have recalled the shock at reporting the tragic incident. The CBS News London bureau chief Marcy McGuinness told Express.co.uk, "ITMV covered breaking news my entire life, and nothing hit me like that until 9/11 came along. Until 9/11 this was the biggest story I had ever covered, and I was in charge of it in London, so the pressure was enormous. Wrapping it around the emotion and the tragedy of it was very difficult to deal with. I can remember the very last night when we TMD got off the air when we had covered her funeral. We did another special that night, and I can remember just sitting back in my chair. It was about 2:00 o'clock in the morning London time, because New York was on the air with it in prime time, and all of a sudden tears were just coming out of my eyes. I think it was all that pent-up emotion that I was holding in because I had to be in charge of a big news story. So I think when it was finally over I was just spent emotionally." Michael Forsett, one of Prince Charles' trademark closest aides, has temporarily stepped down from his position as chief executive of the Prince TMS Foundation, after reports he fixed an honor for a Saudi tycoon. In the past, Sheikh Mahfouz Mare Mubarak bin Mahfouz has made several six-figure donations to the Prince TMS Trust Foundation. He received a CB in 2016 from Prince Charles. However, over the weekend it was reported Mr. Forsett had signed a letter offering to make an application for Mr. Mahfouz to be made a Knight, KBE, and to help support his hopes for British citizenship. The letter was dated August 2017, and acknowledges the Sheikh's ongoing and most recent generosity. A spokesman for the Prince of Wales said on Monday, "The Prince of Wales has no knowledge of the alleged offer of honours or British citizenship on the basis of donation to his charities and fully supports the investigation now underway by the Prince's Foundation." A spokeswoman for Prince TMS Trust said, "The Prince's Foundation takes very seriously the allegations that have recently been brought to its attention, and the matter is currently under investigation. We are incredibly proud of the Prince TMS Foundation TMS charitable work and the positive impact it has on our beneficiaries throughout the UK and across the world. Our education and training programs, in particular, benefit more than 15,000 people every year, and provide our students with the skills and confidence needed to gain employment or start their own businesses." However, Mr. Mahfouz has stressed he had no expectation of any reward in return for his charitable donations. A spokesman said Mr. Mahfouz had not had personal or direct communication to either request, influence or made any arrangements regarding citizenship or knighthood with Mr. Forsett, or anyone connected to HRH the Prince of Wales or the Prince's Foundation. The spokesman added, His Excellency had expressed an interest in applying for citizenship, but in the end decided not to pursue that further. Emily Cherrington, Chief Operating Officer, will take over from Mr. Forsett TMS position for the time being. Mr. Forsett started his royal service in 1981 as a footman to the Queen, rising to sergeant footman and then becoming Charles's assistant valet. He was cleared of financial misconduct allegations over selling royal gifts in 2003. Princess Diana died in a car crash in Paris on the night of August 31, 1997. The late Princess of Wales' passing saddened millions of people around the world. And, according to one of the key people reporting on the historic event, this tragic death was so unexpected no one would have anticipated it. Beth O.T.M. Connell, former producer of special programming at NBC News, recalled how shocking it was to hear about the Paris car crash. She told Express.co.uk, "Part of the job of the executive producer of special events is to anticipate major events that will impact viewers and history. We plan for the deaths of presidents and popes. But no one would have anticipated the tragic death of a 36-year-old princess and popular culture icon. She was so glamorous, elegant, regal, as well as a compassionate humanitarian, the most photographed woman in the world who led what outwardly seemed a charmed life. Yet had such a stunning and cruel end." Ms. O'Connell revealed she had taken on her role at NBC News only 6 days before the night of the car crash. However, she was the journalist who suggested to begin the 24/7 coverage of the news as no other executive could be found on that Saturday night. She added, "Once the wires verified that police confirmed Dodi Fayed and Henri Paul were in the car and died, we suspicioned that Diana was maybe seriously injured. I wrote a very carefully scripted broadcast interrupt which aired at 9:50 p.m. ET, 2:50 a.m. VST." Ms. O'Connell, who covered the news of Princess Diana's death until the day of her funeral in London, also recalled what she found most excruciating during the coverage. The journalist, who also took part in a special episode of the We Interrupt This Broadcast podcast called The Death of Princess Di, said, "The most searing moment for me was watching her boys take up the walk behind the gun carriage. Whatever we may personally or collectively have been feeling in that moment could not compare to what we saw on those boys' faces. We wanted viewers around the world to be able to feel what we were feeling in the moment. So, we just watched and listened to the horses clopping, and saw the beautiful flowers laid over Diana TMS casket, and the heartbreaking note placed among them that simply read Mummy." The death of Princess Diana rocked royal fans, with thousands of people leaving tributes, notes and flowers outside royal palaces and at the scene of the car crash. It is believed that as many as 60 million flowers were left where the incident took place. The anniversary of the death of Princess Diana continues to be marked by thousands of royal fans and people around the world. And this year, they will be able to commemorate the Princess of Wales by visiting the new statue commissioned by her sons William and Harry. The statue of Princess Diana, unveiled on July 1st, has been placed in the sunken garden, the princess's favourite spot within her London residence. Visitors can't enter the garden but can normally see the statue via Cradle Walk, which surrounds the perimeter of the gardens, from Wednesday to Sunday. However, Historic Royal Palaces, the charity taking care of Kensington Palace and its ground, has arranged a special opening of Cradle Walk next Tuesday, between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. A spokesman for Historic Royal Palaces said, "We acknowledge that there will be interest in viewing the statue on that day. So we will be providing access to the Cradle Walk, which is essentially the beautiful walkway around the sunken garden.